Carla and Liam here from Games, Brains and Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it is video game track by track, of course, where we take a video game soundtrack as best as we can. Sometimes it's not as straightforward, and talk through the tracks, just like the other track by tracks, but not metal video game related. And this time around, we're taking a look at Metal Gear Solid, a game that I feel should need no introduction. It is, of course, one of the most iconic, famous video games ever made, the action-adventure stealth video game by Konami, released on the PlayStation in 1998, famously directed, produced, written by Hideo Kojima. And if you don't know, it's the third in the series, folks. It follows the MSX2 video games, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. But like many, many people, particularly of a certain age group, this will probably be the first Metal Gear game you ever played. It certainly was for me.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Obviously, way before my time, but I always remember the original Metal Gear Solid. I think it's the first one because it has the actor Michael Biehn
On the
from
cover,
Terminator.
yeah.
Yeah, he's on the cover, and it's just literally pulled from I think the Terminator cover official or something like that. I don't know how he ended up on it, and I always remember it for that reason. But yeah, obviously, like you said, iconic game. We both grew up playing on the PlayStation 1, complete classic. And I think it's interesting we're talking about it now because obviously the remaster collection is coming out from Konami, which
Yep.
also is also additionally interesting because we spoke recently about achievements and stuff like that, and how in the past we spoke about games that we wish would have achievements on them, and we're finally getting this game on a modern
Mm.
console that's going to have an achievement list, which is going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to see what they put in there.
Agreed. I hope it's imaginative.
Yeah.
So most of the original music was composed and performed by the Konami Computer Entertainment Sound Team Japan, with the exception of the Metal Gear Solid main theme, which was composed by Tappy, and The Best Is Yet to Come, which is composed by Rika Muranaka and performed by Ayofi ni Feriaja. It's probably butchering that.
Easy for you to say.
Indeed, indeed. And the soundtrack consists of 21 tracks, but we will not be covering the final two as they are edits and remixes, namely Metal Gear Solid main theme, the 1997 E3 edit. I didn't see the point in listening to that. And Metal Gear Solid Control mixed by Quadra. So it's basically the main. It's easy enough. It ends with The Best Is Yet to Come. Oh, and sorry, then there's VR training one, but there you go.
Oh, we're not covering the VR training one.
No, I've got it. No, that is the last one. That is the last one. Yeah, that is. Yeah, it is.
That's
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we begin with the Metal Gear Solid main theme. And I always remember this music playing over a demo on a free disc back in the day. Do you remember when you buy a magazine and get free demos? Oh, the good old days. But my first introduction to Metal Gear Solid was a video, not a playable demo, but a video demo. And this played over it. Pure heart-racing energy, epic and so cool. Had we ever played a game with this much scope and vision before? I don't think so. It has been surpassed. One thing I will say about this piece of music, it has been surpassed by Metal Gear Solid 2's main theme, but fuck me, this is massive. The build and build, dropping in the moody tones, then backup are so energizing. And that finale, it is the tits. It's fantastic.
That's the official review.
That's it.
Yeah, for me, this is iconic. The epicness of this track is on another level. There's just so many layers and things going on. You'd expect it to be a bit of a mess, but it all just comes together and works so well. All those different elements and delivers something truly memorable. I love how the track is remixed, like you said, in future games they reused it and changed it a bit. So obviously, like you said, it's debatable a little bit whether or not the sequel does it better, but they're both really great. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's iconic, really. Then we get introduction, and it's slightly mysterious, a little bit futuristic, and a warning cry of the epic to come. It's got a surprising amount of pomp to it, considering it is just a title screen piece of music.
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. Other than that opening note of this track, which is insanely memorable to me, I didn't really recognize this at all. And this is probably because I never sat in the menu that long. I would literally hear that opening note immediately. I'd click the X button and go straight into the game. So I didn't really remember anything else beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. You're right, though. Yeah, I actually listened to a phone. They're like, oh, okay, they actually did a decent length track here.
Yeah, surprising.
Discovery. I love the chilled and cooling sound of this. It's early days. Things feel unsure and sinister. The ambient feel and computerized beeps and squeaks, it building up to become more orchestral and powerful. It's over 5 minutes long, and it develops all the way through while keeping a consistent tone.
Yeah. I thought there was a very subtle build to this track, and it kind of took me by surprise. I don't, again, remember this one particularly well, but I certainly appreciate the imagery that it created in my mind.
Haven. So this is probably the one I've got the most nostalgia for, as this is the first area in the game, and I've played this area the most because of the playable demo that originally came out on a disc with the magazine, and played that to death. It would end when you get into the building. So played Cavern a lot. It feels, unsurprisingly, cavernous and dangerous, but not obviously threatening just yet. It's nice.
Yeah, I found this to be a very atmospheric track. It had a haunting vibe about it, I thought. I really enjoyed it, yeah.
Where are we? We're at the Truder 1. Furtive sounding music that reminds me of sneaking around and being careful to not get spotted. Danger around every corner, cameras everywhere, the sound of your feet in the ground. Very effective.
Yeah, listening to this track made me feel really ready for some serious tactical espionage action.
The opposite to that, encounter, pure energy, dashing around to try and get hidden again, or readying yourself for a fight. It is overplayed because ultimately it's what plays when you get seen, because that happens a lot in the game too, but I still find it quite energizing. Hilarious. I think it's quite a catchy tune with some orchestral layers, which feels a little over the top for what it is.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Metal Gear Solid and over the top kind of things that go a bit hand in hand. Yeah, for me, this is a song that is just familiar to anyone that sucks at the game, basically, because it goes off when you constantly get caught by guards or cameras, which is someone like me, clearly, because I remember this very, very well anyway. Yeah, I think it's another iconic piece of music that is carved into my brain for all time. It's filled with drama and tension that comes with many other set pieces you encounter in the game.
There it is. Intruder 2. I'm a little less familiar with this. And I think that is because it's actually not that memorable. It's got a nice moody vibe to it. That's about all I got.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a more subtle track than those that have come before, but it's a welcoming change of pace, I thought, to calm things down a bit. I can just visualize Snake sneaking around with this playing in the background.
Warhead storage. This is super strong ambient, subtle build to something more epic, and I think it fits considering the location this plays in and what it says about the situation when you're there. I like how it eases into the main rhythm without needing to go all bombastic as well.
Yeah, I agree. I obviously listen to the soundtrack via YouTube, and sometimes I like to scroll through the comments and read what other people think of the tracks. And someone in the comments for this track, they described it as ghostly military ambience, and I really don't think I could put it any better than that.
That is really cool because ultimately it is the warhead storage area, particularly to do with nukes, and obviously the sort of lessons Metal Gear wants to teach you about that. So that whole ghostly military ambience, yeah, that's a good way. Yeah, I like that. Okay, Intruder 3. I really struggle to remember this one. I think it plays in the Psycho Mantis area halls, but I think my focus was elsewhere at this stage, trying to see Meryl's ass, seeing her in her pants, and readying myself for the boss that follows. Just don't remember it very well.
Yeah, it's quite distracting, to be fair. So
there's a lot going on in that area.
Yeah, this track has a few elements that are starting to feel a bit repetitive at this point. And also there's this annoying buzzing effect over the top, and I wasn't really a fan of this one. Found it a bit annoying.
Cool. It's not all perfect. Mantis Hymn, incredibly memorable, mysterious and haunting, frightening almost. The ambient background and those choral vocals. It's really uncomfortable while actually having this kind of sorrowful nature to it.
Yeah, I felt this track just showed what a unique experience that the game was as a whole. You go from a lot of heavy stealth-based pieces of music to something that's so eerie that you could easily place it in another game, something like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, a horror-based game, and it would still fit so well, even if you heard it in those games. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is probably what is arguably the whole Psycho Mantis section is probably the most unique part in the game, or
Mm-hmm.
Hind D, fucking love this. Epic and fitting as it's an epic fight. One that portrays the location, the wind howling, and the massive amount of danger in the air. And I think the background tones have a bit of early day NES to them.
Yeah. All I could think about when I heard this music was the words "eat this" as the Hind D fires a barrage of rockets at you. That is like ingrained in my mind for all time. But yeah, it definitely suits the tension that you feel during this boss fight.
I love it. Yes. Jewel, it's a play on Encounter, the track Encounter, but with a more dangerous rhythm. This is not the same kind of encounter. That is what this says to me.
This is just kind of like a slight remix I felt on the classic track, but I thought it was really good in its own right.
Agreed. Enclosure, beautiful. One of my favorite pieces of music from the game, even if the cutscene goes on forever. The sniper wolf battle is the nuts, and this is heavy on emotion. Although it does start to grow into something more hopeful as it goes up in volume. I'll admit, listening to it again now, all I could kind of hear was Argon whining over it, and I had to kind of wipe my own memory of that and just enjoy the music.
Yeah, as soon as the first note hit in this track, I was immediately swept back to the scene in which it plays. Context adds a lot to the emotion to this piece of music. But man, what a piece it is. It's powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's that whole section is one I always like when I think of the game. That's what I get. I get the nostalgic love for a lot. Is those sections more than anything else. I always love snipers as well.
Yeah, I mean, even on our like young minds, like we were young kids playing this game. This scene still had quite an impact even on us, and obviously quite young and immature. That says a lot about it, I think.
Agreed. All right, Blast Furnace. It's warm and dangerous. Nothing too much to say here aside from it feels like an end game piece of music.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid track that continues the atmosphere of the game. Nothing doesn't stand out too much, but it just keeps it going.
Agreed. Colossio. It portrays the size and scope of what lies before you. Too grand to fully take in. Peaceful right now, but the danger is there. It's one of the more fantastical pieces of music on the soundtrack.
Yeah, this is another highly dramatic track. I believe this is played during a scene in which the character Naomi, she reveals certain secrets and delves deeper into the relationships of certain characters. There's a type of thing that I have more of an appreciation for now than I did back then as a kid, because I think I probably skipped a lot of these cutscenes back in the day.
Starting to get bored, yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate a lot more of the like drama and like political intrigue and stuff now than I did then, kind of thing.
Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Rex's Lair, bloody amazing. The choral voices, the haunting melodies, the moody ambience. This is awe-inspiring, and I think maybe only a handful of tracks across it. This is one of them that absolutely, I think back and think that fits the scene or sequence it's playing in. Perfect.
I'm wondering if we heard like different pieces of music here, because it's always interesting. That's why it's interesting doing these, because we get such contrast between our like, opinions sometimes. I just didn't really have that much to say on this one, so I thought it was fine.
Okay, no, that's cool. That's interesting. Okay, then we get to Escape. It's a heart-racing play on both Encounter and Jewel at similarity, but this one has epic choral voices. It is a desperate fight to survive, and this feels it. Of the three that have a similar vibe, Encounter, Jewel, and Escape, for me, this is the best of the three, in my opinion. It instantly puts me where you are, and the frantic nature of that ending sequence.
Yeah, I agree. I do think it's probably the best because it has that sense of urgency. You're near the ending of the game, and there's a lot of crazy shit going down. And like you said, it's like it's a slight remix of the track. But I'm not kind of surprised they reused it, because it's such an epic piece of music that you couldn't help but use it multiple times.
Yeah. Agreed. And then, of course, end title, / the best is yet to come. Is there a piece of music more associated with Metal Gear Solid? I'm not sure. The haunting voice, the melody, the ambience that follows, the prettiness as it expands, the more lively tone and folky instruments that come along. It is a wonderful piece of music and perfect for the end credits.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's worth remembering that this was a PlayStation 1 game, so hearing this type of music was quite rare. And for me, the nostalgia that comes from this song is crazy. This is my childhood. Very soulful song that captures so much of what the game represents so well.
Yeah, I think if this had played in the game at some point, perhaps of a cutscene, I probably would have thought it was too much.
Yeah.
So like, it's well placed.
Agreed.
And then lastly, VR training. Meh. It's cool sounding, but it's nothing here that can match the main game music. The best thing I can say about VR training's piece of music is that it feels very video gamey, as though you are in some sort of VR training.
Yeah, of all the tracks that I was on here, other than a few that I didn't actually remember at all, this is one that I just haven't heard in years. So, but then when I heard it, you ever find that when you hear a piece of music you haven't heard in a long time, like you realize how much you do remember it so well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for me, it was a real blast from the past, and I thought it did capture, like in the VR missions, there's quite a lot of tension and moments of adversity, and I thought it does capture that quite well.
Yeah, I always enjoyed that VR. Well, nowadays it would be DLC, but it was an extra disc, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. That's the Metal Gear Solid soundtrack, and now we've got to find just three out of those 21 tracks. Do you want to go first?
Yeah. For my first one, I've gone with Enclosure.
Okay.
Yep, and then I went with Encounter, and finally I went with the main theme. That's my three, but I thought it was really tough. Really tough.
I'm surprised you didn't put the best is yet to come on that.
Yeah. Like I said, it was a tough one, but they're the ones that for me are just the most memorable one. Stuff like that.
Well, we're 2 out of 3, and technically my third one is close to yours anyway. I've got the Metal Gear Solid main theme as well. I thought about leaving it off because I prefer Metal Gear Solid 2's one, but I didn't think that was fair.
It's the original,
So.
Yeah.
I also have Enclosure, of course, but I've chosen Escape instead of Encounter, although it would have been Encounter next, I think.
Yeah, like I said, you really could easily swap a couple of these around, no problem. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I am too. The only thing I'd say, right, is it's not a soundtrack that I listen to regularly. Like I listen to video game soundtracks while driving sometimes and things like that. I don't know if I'd put this on. I feel like it might be a bit too much to be driving to.
I think it's like a lot of tracks I listen to give you this sense of like relaxation, maybe. But like this is not the kind of music that would do that. It kind of like makes you a bit stressed. I kind of remember the stress of like certain scenarios of like getting caught in like fights, like I said, with the hind and things like that. Not the kind of thing I want to like chill to, listening.
Yeah, I'm picturing kind of like driving down a motorway doing 70 and Escape comes on. And obviously that part's about driving as well, so...
that would actually probably go quite well, so might have to add that one to the old yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Metal Gear Solid PS1 soundtrack. What's your favourite? You got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.